Number 3, the late night delivery. The shift was almost over. I was alone behind the counter of the pizza place, eagerly counting down the seconds until I could clock out and finally head home. That's when the phone rang. I picked it up. Silence. Absolute heavy silence. I hung up, frustrated. A minute later, it rang again. Same deal. I lifted the receiver, and nothing. I was about to slam it down for the second time when a voice, weak, cold, and unmistakably ancient, whispered, "I want a regular pie delivered." I kept my tone polite, but inside, I was screaming. All I wanted was to go home. I reluctantly called out to my boss, who was closing up the kitchen. "Delivery request." He told me I had to take it. Annoyed, I took down the address. 7 miles away. But then I thought of the tip. Old people, especially the creepy quiet ones, often tip the best. "It will be there soon," I mumbled into the phone, but the line was already dead. Rude. "One regular pie, chef," I yelled, then got the good news. My boss said I could just go straight home after the drop-off. Score. A little before 10 p.m., I put the address into my GPS and headed out. The house was tucked away on the quiet side of town. It was a small one-story place on a completely empty silent block. No lights were on. I grabbed the pizza and walked to the door, ringing the bell. No answer. I rang again. Still nothing. Just as I was about to give up, I turned my head and saw it, a figure standing at a window. I instinctively backed up, a surge of adrenaline hitting me. I forced myself closer to the glass. It was an old woman, late 70s maybe, just staring at me with a blank, lifeless expression. "I have your pizza," I yelled through the pain. She didn't move. I screamed it louder. Suddenly, a wide, terrifying smile stretched across her face. It wasn't a pleasant, genuine smile, it was a grin that sent a visceral chill down my spine. I can still picture that exact expression pressed against the glass. That's enough. I was done. I sprinted back to my car, tossing the pizza onto the passenger seat. I shot my boss a frantic text, started the engine, and prepared to peel out of there. I glanced to my right for one last look, and my blood ran cold. The old woman was no longer in the window. She was standing right beside my passenger side window, giving me the exact same unnerving stare. I slammed the car into drive and floored it down the street, never looking in the rearview mirror. My boss never made me do a late-night delivery again. Number 2, the cottage in the woods. 4 years ago, while I was still in high school, I was given my final delivery of the shift. My trusty 1999 Camry, the perfect pizza transport, took the address from my phone. Living upstate meant all deliveries were long hauls, usually down forest-lined dirt roads. The sun was starting to set, maybe 7 o'clock. After a solid 15 minutes of driving deeper into the woods, my GPS declared, "You have arrived." It was a small dilapidated lake house, a cottage made almost entirely of wood, sitting alone in the middle of absolute nowhere. The lawn was a disaster, the unkempt grass reached nearly to my knees. I was used to country living, so I didn't let the isolation bother me too much. I took the pizza to the front door. I knocked loudly. Within 10 seconds, I heard the distinctive sound of heavy footsteps hitting wood, moving fast inside the house. They stopped abruptly right at the door. A feeling of unease washed over me. I felt watched. That's when I noticed the small dark peephole in the wood. "Pizza delivery," I called out. A low harsh voice from the other side commanded, "Bring the pizza out back." I didn't like that. Going around the back of a place this remote felt wrong. "Are you sure, sir?" I called back. He didn't answer. The footsteps hadn't moved away from the door. I could feel him standing there, still watching. I almost walked back to my car, but the thought of my boss's attitude, the last time I brought a pie back, he gave me hell, made me reluctantly stay. I stepped through the knee-high weeds and around the small house. In the back, there was a shed and a little patio. A table with 4 chairs was on the patio, and in one chair, facing away from me, I saw the head of someone sitting. "Excuse me," I said as I approached. The figure didn't move an inch. "Excuse me," I repeated, louder. Then, from the corner of the house, right behind me, I heard a chilling whisper, "Over here." I spun around. A man, his head poking out from the shadow of the house, was looking at me with a crazed wide smile. "Come over here," he urged, "I want to show you something." I freaked out. I ran. I bolted around the house in the opposite direction, still clutching the pizza box for some inexplicable reason. I jumped into my car, started it, and roared away. On the road back, I pulled over and called the police. I was later informed that authorities found no sign that anyone had been living in that house for a long time. A few days later, I quit the job. To this day, the one thing that haunts me is the image of that figure on the patio. I still wish I had turned my head to see who, or what, was sitting in that chair. Number 1, the Poconos fog. I was on a late-night delivery run in the Poconos, a rural area where my routes often took me down isolated roads surrounded by nothing but thick trees. That night, the air was dark and soupy with fog. I was driving down a shortcut I knew well when I had to slam on the brakes. A sickening bump and thump from the front of the car confirmed it. I had hit someone who had jumped out of the bushes and onto the road. "Oh God," I muttered, hands over my face, panic rising. I had just hit a person. I got out. It was a man in a black hoodie, the hood pulled up. He was lying motionless near my car tire. I didn't know what to do. Why was this guy out here? Why did he jump in front of me? Then things got weirder. A scream, raw and desperate for help, echoed from the woods to my left. Someone was in trouble. I looked down at the motionless man. He hadn't moved. "I'll only be gone a minute," I stupidly rationalized. Against all common sense, I decided to leave the man and investigate the scream. I moved toward the direction I'd heard it, hoping for another sound, but now there was only total silence, save for the chirping of the night creatures. "Where are you?" I yelled. That's when I heard it, the crisp sound of a foot crushing dry leaves nearby. I turned toward the sound, and even through the dark fog, I could make out the faint terrifying figure of someone hiding behind a tree directly across from me. I ran back to my car as fast as I could, glancing over my shoulder the entire way. When I got back, the man I had hit was gone. I didn't stick around to figure out where he went. I jumped back in, heart pounding in my chest, and sped down the road. Despite the adrenaline surge, I still made the delivery. I rang the bell, and a middle-aged woman answered. After paying, her eyes focused on something over my shoulder, and she tilted her head. "They let you guys have delivery partners now?" she asked, confused. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" I asked, my stomach twisting. "You've got someone with you," she said, pointing. "They're in your car." A sharp pain hit my gut as I turned. Someone was sitting in the back seat of my car. I used the woman's phone to call the police. They arrived quickly, but the person in the back seat was already gone. The most chilling detail, the police found a blood-stained knife on the floor of my car, right where the person had been hiding. This memory still haunts me. I can honestly say it's terrifying to imagine how things could have turned out had I not stopped for that delivery.